Thank you for joining us. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And for more information about this show and the rest of Corleone's season, visit corleoni.org and subscribe to our newsletter, The E-Roar.
This episode of Chor Leoni Inside is proudly sponsored by Gene Hurst.
They say it's all right. They say it's all right. Say it's all right. Have a good time, 'cause it's all right.
Hello and welcome to Chor Leoni Inside. My name is Erick Light, and I am the artistic director of Corleone Men's Choir here in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And we're really glad to have you with us as we are going to preview our next digital concert, which was a collaboration that we did 1 year ago with the Montreal-based group Lenev. And we have their leader, ranger, singer, player, Seán Dagher, as our guest today. And he has kind of been at the forefront of the whole shanty craze, having been one of the singers and arrangers for the Ubisoft show game Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which was a number of years ago. It became one of the reasons, I think, why the shanty situation took off the way that it did. I want to play, though, before we bring Seán in, one piece from Corleone, also recorded at our collaborative concert, but just featuring the choir. This is probably one of the great chestnuts of the male choral repertoire. Shenandoah is a folk song that many people know. A lot of times people think about it as sort of going across in covered wagons across the prairies or, on the Oregon Trail or something like that. But the song also found its life as with other texts as a sea shanty. And it really is about this idea of leaving home and missing it terribly. This arrangement by Marshall Bartholomew has probably been sung by every single male choir on the planet. So it's there's a reason it's an oldie but a goodie. This is Corleone singing Shenandoah, arranged by Marshall Bartholomew.
Shenandoah,
That was Corleone Men's Choir singing Marshall Bartholomew's famous arrangement of Shenandoah, and that was from our collaborative concert with the group Lenev from Montreal. And I am so pleased to have with me their leader and just an incredible musician that I've gotten a chance to work with, Seán Dagher. Hello, Seán. It's really nice to have you with us.
Hi, Eric. Nice to be here with you.
It's great. I've been watching your Shanty of the week on YouTube, which is taking off nicely, and it's so nice to feel like I'm on set with you for such a famous show. It's one that I watch all the time, and I just get such a kick out of it. And it's nice to be in the same spot. So
well, good. I'm glad you could be here.
Thank you. I want to ask you first. Yeah, it's a cool spot. I just have a TV behind me. You have a whole cornucopia of instruments.
Yeah, really.
I want to ask you, tell me just a little bit about your personal background and the group's background of Lenev and who this organization ensemble idea is.
So I'll start with Lenev because I think that makes sense for how I fit into it. Lenev started as a band in 1991. They put on some really big productions of wild shows, The Quest for the Holy Grail and Music for Joan of Arc and The Garden of Earthly Delights. And these were productions with staging and props and costumes, and they were really wild. They kind of settled down into and had big projects on Dorian. They were it was really a going concern. It was great.
Oh yeah.
And if I talk to people who were concert goers or music fans in the 90s, they really think, oh, Lenev, wow, crazy shows. These days, Lenev is more of we do mainly concerts, and it's more of a production company where we have many different arms. We have an early music arm, youth, young audience arm, wing, sort of more modern creation, contemporary style. And we have a 3 or 4 year concert a year season that can be anything, and there are a number of different musical directors that come in and put on shows. So we have a stable of music directors. I'm one of them, and a sort of a stable of performers, which is obviously flexible. Anyone can get asked for any project. So that's what Lenev is, and I'm not sure what the real guidelines or parameters are. Generally, most of the music is acoustic. That's about the only limitation. My background, I'm mainly a folk musician. I studied theory and composition, but once I found the Dorian mode, I knew I didn't need to go any farther. And so I've been doing arranging. Yeah.
Oh no! Yeah, you've been arranging, and
I've been arranging stuff. I had a group called Sky Consort. Well, I have it again now, but where I was doing arranging of early music stuff in a folk music style, and then gradually I got swallowed by Lenev and became one of their music directors. That's
in the belly of the whale, so to say. Tell me now, how did you and Lenev and all of this shanty business begin? Because I think it's a really great story.
So Dave Gossage, who plays flute in this project, is a virtuosic flute player and one of the main session cats in Montreal. He's toured, all over with everybody, and
he's a monster.
Yeah.
He's just amazing. Yeah.
With a jazz background, but also classical. Actually, originally he was a classical flute player and a jazz sax player, but then he was finding the mixing the embouchures wasn't working, so he did jazz flute. Anyway, he does everything, and he's fantastic. Film scores and whatever. So he got hired by Ubisoft to produce the music for one of their video games because they wanted sort of early folky stuff. It was the game that was about the American Revolution in Boston. So he got hired to put on some of to produce that music. And I play with Dave in some of the Irish pubs in Montreal. So he hired me to come in and sing some of the songs, as well as Nils Brown and Michiel Schrey, and I can't remember who else was on those original sessions. And So we sang. We were American soldiers. We were British soldiers. We were tavern musicians, and we were also sailors singing for this sort of one small bit of the game. I don't play. I've never played the games. I don't know what they're about. But apparently there was a small bit, and apparently the sea shanties we sang for that sailor part of AC3, Assassin's Creed 3, was.
Shorthand. Thank you. Yeah.
Apparently, the shanties bit was so popular that the next game, I don't know what it was going to be, but they turned it around and they said no, the whole AC4 is going to be about sea shanties because people loved it so much. So we went and recorded another 53 sea shanties, and then they put out another game that was really just all about sea shanties, and we did another 35 sea shanties. So we ended up singing all this stuff, and gamers of all ages knew us from all over the world. So it was that's how we got the gig, and it was fun because we had to sing badly. They really wanted us to sound like drunken sailors, and we weren't allowed to do anything fun. And we weren't allowed to do anything that sounded good. I mean, it was fun singing badly.
To put together, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes we would try it, and he'd say, "Guys, no, it's not. That's not it. You're not Corleone Men's Choir. You're
too pretty."
Yeah, and but there were so many beautiful songs. So when Lenev asked me what concert I wanted to put on in their upcoming season, this was coming up in 2014. I said, well, I want to do all those songs from Assassin's Creed, but I want to do nice versions of them. So I hired Dave, and I hired all the same guys who had been in the video games, and a bass and fiddle, and we did a concert there, and that concert was nominated for a few awards, and we then got an album out of it with Atma, and we've been touring it ever since. So that's how the whole thing came to be what it is.
Well, I want to share before we get into any more of this, because I find your relationship with this music and how this music has taken off so fascinating. But I want to share a little bit about with everyone that original group and music from that album. I want to play the video that you made of "Leave Her, Johnny, Leave Her." Can you set this song up for us just a little bit as we hear it?
This was when Dave was sending out the songs that we were going to record in a given week. I'd make sure I'd go through the list first before anybody, and I'd choose my favorite ones for myself, and then the other guys could have the other ones, and I'd make sure I email everybody. I have dibs on it. So when I saw this melody, I thought, oh, this is a beautiful song, "Leave Her, Johnny," and we still had to sing it kind of ugly in the game, but then when I was allowed to do my own arrangement of it for the concert, I tried to make it as beautiful as I could for me, and I think it doesn't just speak to me, the song. I think a lot of people are affected by the melody. I don't really know why. It's just a simple tune, but it's really lovely.
Yeah, it really is lovely. This is "Leave Her, Johnny, Leave Her," Seán Dagher and Lenev.
I thought I heard the old man say, "Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Tomorrow you will get your pay, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her." Leave her, Johnny, leave her. No grog allowed and rotten and grub, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. The cook cook's a drunk and the mate is too. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. And the crew is 14 men to fill. And it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow. And it's time for us to leave her. We'd be better off in a nice clean jail. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. With smuggling whores and smuggling ale. And it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow. And it's time for us to leave her.
That was Leave Her, Johnny, Leave Her. Seán Dagher singing lead with the group Lenev. God, it really is. It is such a simple song, but there's such a kind of a pathos and you feel like there's like this depth of story that's lying behind some of these songs. I mean, I love what you've done, that you took them off of the drunken sailor sort of thing and given these songs, both with your work with Lenev and then what we did as our collaboration, given them I think a new emotional life. Where do you find the appeal is? What do you think the appeal is for folks, especially right now with kind of the TikTok craze having passed us by?
I don't know. I don't know what, I mean, I suppose what people like about the songs is the same thing I like about them. I don't think about it that way too much. I just thought, oh, I want to do this, and I'm doing it for myself. I'm sorry, audience, but so I don't know why I like it so much, and I don't know why everybody else likes it so much. One thing I do like about shanties, and this applies to all of them, is the singing togetherness of it. You know, I've said this often. And I've done this. I can stand up in a room of 100 or 200 people and start belting a song that nobody knows, and inside a minute, we're all singing together. It's amazing. It's magic.
It really is. It really is. And I think maybe I've been sort of philosophizing about this, and it's all been kind of BS in my own head as to what it is. But you know, it's talking about, these are songs that are talking about, you know, leaving our homes, which is something we can't do right now. There is that communal aspect. I think it's all things that we're just sort of feeling like a little hungry for, and maybe, you know, maybe that's what we get into in this modern age as to why this became the craze of January 2021.
Yeah, I think so. I think, yeah, the fact of being able to do something together when we can't do so many things together. And I sort of had looked down on TikTok as a thing, you know, people doing funny games or people filming people falling off their bike or whatever. But I want to give credit to the app and the way it's constructed, because you really can join your voice to somebody else's voice and sing a real duet with them, and any number of people can do that. I think it's a fantastic tool, and not just for tweens.
Right. I am not a TikToker myself, but I have to say the whole deal with the shanty craze did make me look at it a little bit differently, and it's fun watching this technology even sort of develop and change and meeting our needs. I want to switch gears a little bit, and I just want to ask you, because you've been living in this world of these shanties, and that's what we're kind of talking about, because we have our collaborative concert that we're going to be airing in just a few days here that we did just about a year ago. What are shanties, if people don't know what that is? That may be a very basic question.
A sea shanty is a work song, a ship-bound work song that is used not for entertainment, but for making work on the ship happen more efficiently and more quickly. So the way it works is, generally speaking, there's a shantyman line that one person sings, the shantyman, and there's a crew response, and then another shantyman line and a second crew response. And the rhythm of the song tells the sailors doing the work when to heave, when to haul. and so that they all do it together, and that speeds up the work. It makes it more efficient.
Yeah, and you can hear that. I think it's what gives it such these pieces such rhythmic drive and strength. Even in some of the arrangements that you've taken in other places, I think some of that still holds on. As far as what's interesting about shanties to me is that these are some of the first songs to really travel the world. They really went around the world, and sailors came from all over the places. Do you know where the influences came as far as maybe the bedrock of the cultures that these songs were coming from?
It's all pretty much speculative, but you can basically say that a lot of the songs came through the south of the U.S. from the black communities there, who sometimes brought the styles or sometimes the melodies themselves over from Africa, and they got mixed with the sort of British Isles, Scottish, Irish,
yeah,
style of melody, and those are the two main. I think that the two main influences that got fused together. People often ask me, like, where is this song from? I say, well, it's not. No, that's not a thing. It's not from anywhere. It's everywhere.
Right.
But I think it's interesting that those two
everywhere
styles
and nowhere.
Yeah, like it's not where it came from. And the cliche, it's where it's going. But literally, it is. It's once it's on a ship, we'll look out. No, it doesn't belong to anybody.
That's right. And going back through history as well, who were the guys singing this? They did come from all over the world, but I think what's interesting to me is also, kind of looking at it through our modern lens, these songs like talk about class and, why would somebody risk their lives and, get on a ship and sort of being in debt. And, like these are themes that come through the lyrics of all of these songs so much. Who were these people singing these songs?
Well, the sailors definitely did not come from a privileged class in any sense of the word. I think the people who went on ships did so because they had to. So everyone was singing them. When they really took off, when the shanty sort of tradition really took off, and once the ship owners realized that it was really effective, they would pay to have a guy on there whose job it was to be the shantyman, because they realized they could reduce the crew by half if they paid a shantyman to do it. Yeah. So that's who was singing them, and we talked about the British Isles, but the tradition spread farther than that. There are a few sort of native French shanties and a few native German ones and Scandinavian ones, but they didn't tend to originate there. Like I said, there are a few from all those places, but often they would take the English language shanty. I say English language, it's not English, but the English language shanty, and they would replace the verses with either French or German or Swedish or Norwegian verses, but then sing the choruses. The refrains would be the same ones in English, pronounced all manner of ways.
Right.
So its usefulness spread elsewhere. So that's who was singing the songs.
It's amazing to me just how these songs have they were just born out of utility. I want to play another performance of the Lenev guys. Looks like they're singing on a beach in this video, and doing another sea song or shanty song. I don't know if this is actually a shanty, but Encore la Coup Laoura. Can you set this song up for us? Because I know it has kind of a fun story how you came to know it.
This after we did the first concert in 2014, a CBC or Radio Canada host here in Montreal, she wrote to us and she said she was very disappointed that there weren't any French songs, and she said, she said, I assume you're going to do a French one afterward. I said, yes, of course we are. She said, great, I have this stack of records. So I went down to CBC and I picked up a stack of records and I went through them all. And this was one of the songs I found. And then she gave us lots of publicity. She gave it she said, I'm going to interview you on my show. Found out after her show was at 2 a.m. Anyway, but this was a beautiful song that I found. And And it's rhythmic, but it's kind of a lament, and it's Encore un Coup means I think it's another shot of whiskey or another shot of rum or brandy or whatever. It doesn't specify, but it's just the same words over, and there's something melancholic about it, but it still has an edge, you know. It's not dreary. So I did an arrangement for Lenev, and we did it in that show, and we've toured it ever since. And then we were on tour in the Maritimes in 2018, and we did 6 shows in 7 days all around Nova Scotia, and then we did this crazy trek to the Magdalen Islands. I don't know if you know the Magdalen Islands. They belong to Quebec, but it's sort of out in the middle of the Gulf of St. Lawrence, and this little tiny windswept archipelago. Like literally, you're driving along the road between these two islands, and there's ocean on that side and ocean on that side, or gulf on that. Wow. Anyway, so we were there and we thought, well, this is beautiful. And Nils, the one of the singers in the group, he said, we should film something on the beach, just to have a record. And so we chose that, and we were weary from being on the road for a week and a half. And a week and a half's worth of excess and pirating, and we hated each other, and we were exhausted, and we just had one more show to do, and nobody wanted to be there. I said, "Come on, guys, just gather around." So we're put our arms around each other and fuck you, right. And you can bleep that out. We found some guy walking down the beach, like, hey, you, hold my phone.
Hold this, yes.
So he did a great job. He held it really steady. I mean, it's only 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes or something, but he held it really steady. And we sang it, and it was like our last thing of that tour. And I think it was great. And there's the sound of the ocean behind. But I feel like when I'm watching that video, like, oh, you can tell these guys have been through the ringer a little bit leading up to this. That's
something together.
Yeah.
Well, I want to play it for folks. This is Encore la Coup Laoura. This is Lenev singing it on the beach from a tour a number of years ago.
Encore la Coup Laoura, Kalimala. Encore un coup Laoura, encore un coup Laoura, Kalimana, Kaliman, encore un coup Laoura, Kalimana, Kalimana, Kaliman, encore un coup. Encore un coup, Laoura, Kalimana, Kaliman, encore un coup, Laoura, encore un coup, Laoura, Kalimana, Kaliman, encore un coup. Kaliman, encore un coup, Laoura, encore un coup, Laoura, Kalimana, Kaliman, Kaliman, encore un coup.
That was Lenev singing Encore la Coup Laoura, it's a song for Brittany, actually, if I'm not mistaken. Beautifully done there at the beach, and feels very authentic. Thank you for sharing the story behind that as well. And a lovely arrangement, and that's what I want to ask you about next. Is you did the Ubisoft, you did the Assassin's Creed, really rough. Not much of an arrangement on any of those recordings that you did for the game because of what they were trying to do. And then you kind of took them to another level with adding the instruments and your arrangements for the Lenev album, which I think are just so brilliant. And then a lot of these songs then sort of found now a third life in our collaboration, adding a large choir of 60 to the mix. First of all, when you're arranging something that is as straightforward and honest as these sea shanties are, how are you finding, where your points of creativity are? Where does it get too clever? How do you keep the roots in of the songs? Because I think you have cracked the code on these pieces in terms of your arranging.
I put it down to my 25 years of playing in Irish pubs and playing songs that are, similar in nature to these in terms of harmony and sort of melodic style. Some of them are actually sea shanties as well. And having played those songs, 300 times a year times 25 years, that many times, some of them, and having tried everything, having played it like this, played it like that, and found what I liked. What I found worked, what was too far, what was not far enough, how you could stretch each song, by adding, like you say, too clever, by fancy chords or by adding fancy rhythms or trying to do stuff that's too complicated. And, it's by trying it. Sometimes you say, oh yes, that does work, and no, that doesn't work. And by work, I mean that either sounds bad or sounds good, but takes away from what was good about the song in the beginning. So it's really been a process of trial and error over the last 2 decades, and crack the code. Yeah, I mean, after having done unspeakable things to all those songs, I basically now I can see in advance, okay, I don't need to try that because that, and I can sort of zero in on what I want to do. And basically I stick with I don't expand the harmonic structure of the tune too much. I don't get too diatonic. I mean, I don't get too chromatic. Just certain kinds of dissonances works. Whole tone dissonances work, which means you can do ninths in a 4 chord and a 1 chord, and you can do sevenths in all the minor chords like 2, 3, and 6. I avoid dominant seventh. The tritone I find is, too evil, or you can use it, but I don't. Am I going to harmonic language here? Like you'll put subtitles or footnotes or something. Those are the nuts and bolts gags that I use, and those are the rules. And for some of the songs, I sat down at the piano and I played them, or I sang the melody, and I plunked out the other voices. Like, well, what if you did that? And what if you did that? And really get to hear which dissonances work and work going where, and so that's how I did it.
Yeah, and I think not only have you had the voices, which are stupendous in Lenev, and then adding Corleone in, but then you've had you've kind of settled on the instrumentation. So when people are going to watch our digital concert, what instruments did you have at your disposal that we're going to see? Because some of them may not be as familiar to everyone.
So basically, I play Irish bouzouki, which is this. It's not tuned, but and then there's double bass and fiddle and flute, and we also have a shruti box, which I have right here. One sec.
Oh yeah, it's such a beautiful effect.
This is
it's gorgeous sound.
A neat droney thing. I don't know what key it's set up to, but we'll find out, won't we? etc. So that's a Shruti box, and Dave, the flute player, plays tin whistles and bosun whistle, which is this neat little thing. You saw it in the Lever Johnny video, the thing he was playing at the beginning.
That's right.
And we added a little bit of percussion. The fiddle player Nelson, before the first show, I said, "Oh, I'm not going to hire a percussion." He said, "It's okay. I'm really good at snare drum." I'd been playing with him for 20 years at that point. I'd never heard him play snare drum, but if you say so, Nelson, and he was. So
he really is good. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he was. Yeah.
So that's the band, and I think it's a good fit for to have instruments when we need to, but not too many. And all those guys sing, so that in the songs that we want it to be a cappella, we don't. It's not like they were standing there doing nothing. So, I mean, they were chosen. I chose those people because of that. Yeah. And but a quick.
Now
note
I want to play for folks. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
A quick note about the instruments and the instrumentation is that those guys are like jazz trained, all three of them actually, folk playing cats. So I didn't write instrument parts. I didn't write much. I wrote melodies, and I told them, I said, do it, improvise. So that's what they were doing. They worked it out between them sometimes, or they just went for it. I really left them all the freedom for that. They wanted to listen to me anyway.
Right. And the freedom that they bring to it, and the communication that they're bringing to it, you can absolutely hear, like that's how they're set up to play, especially the fiddle and the flute. The way that they're trading stuff throughout the concert is really remarkable. I want to set up. I want to play for everybody "One More Day," which is one of my favorite songs in the show, and I think one of the great arrangements of this. Can you set this song up for us and maybe give us a little bit about the arrangement and the performance?
Yeah, I can't remember where I first heard it. I think we did it on Black Flag, and I hated it. Wow, I heard some guy singing it on YouTube, and it was terrible, really, really bad. And but often that's the way to get, because if someone's already doing something good with it, then they're like, why bother? Like, he's doing it. But I hated it so much that I thought, there's got to be something there. And so I kind of went in exactly the opposite direction of what I heard. And the guy got in touch with me recently. He's like, "Did you steal my version?" I was like, "No, far from it, sir." So I really went in the opposite. I was
inspired, but in the other direction.
Yeah. So I heard things in the song that I thought, I wonder if it would go that way. And at one of the rehearsals, someone said, "It kind of sounds like a gospel tune." And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's why we've been going with it." So it's not a gospel tune, but there's something sort of hopeful about it in the same way, and we're sort of trying to infuse it with that kind of optimistic energy.
And that, I think, is what I've spent so much time the last month or so mixing this recording for everyone, and I've been hearing it a bajillion times, and I still just find this song so uplifting. And I've felt really strongly about this piece. I want to play it for everybody. This is "One More Day." This is Lenev and Corleone collaborating just about 1 year ago.
Johnny, one more day, oh, rock and roll me over, one more day. Have you heard the news, me Johnny? One more day, we're homeward bound tomorrow, boys, one more day. One more day, me Johnny, one more day, oh, rock and roll me over, one more day.
don't you hear the old man growling one more day? Don't you hear the mate a-howling one more day? Don't you hear the captain bawling one more day? Don't you hear the pilot bawling one more day? One more day, Johnny, one more day. Oh, rock and roll me over one more day. Only one more day howling, Johnny, one more day. Can't you hear the gals calling? One more day. Only one more day furling, one more day. And only one more day a cursing, one more day. One more day, Johnny, one more day. Oh, rock and roll me over one more day. Do me, Johnny, one more day. Then put your long to bloom me, Johnny, one more day. No more gales or heavy weather, one more day. Only one more day together, one more day. One more day, Johnny, one more day. Oh, rock and roll me over one more day. One more day, Johnny, one more day. Oh, rock and roll me over. One more day, Johnny, one more day. Oh, rock and roll me over one more day.
That was Clayton Kennedy taking the lead on One More Day, arranged by Seán Dagher. Seán, it's such a cool arrangement that it sounds like a sea shanty. It has kind of like a gospel music thing going on. It also sounds like it could come from like a modern musical. Like it has that sort of like just lift, and like you could end the first act in with that with that arrangement. Maybe it'll be in the next version of Rent or something. I don't know.
Hope so.
But I want to focus on it. You know, when we did this collaboration about a year ago, adding Corleone to the mix. You know, I was a big fan of the album that you made, and I did wonder, like, is adding 60 voices to this, is it going to be a bit unwieldy? Are we going to be like some sort of like hippo coming into the room while you guys are, you know, this kind of lean and agile musical machine? And I think you did such an extraordinary job of arranging this. In many ways, I look at this now with hindsight, is that it's kind of like you were asked by, you know, the Montreal Symphony to write for, you know, like your group and them, but sometimes those orchestra things sort of get unwieldy. But you used our voices in a similar way. I felt like in many times we got to be certainly singers, but we also got to be the orchestra in this. Can you talk a little bit about like your approach to this collaboration between us? Because I felt like it was just a hand in glove.
So I think the first challenge was deciding what to do with each song. You know, some of them we didn't add choir at all. Some of them I felt that the parts I had written for the singers in the group just translated to the choir. We just had to have more people singing each line, and that worked.
Right.
And then some of them I wrote whole new choir parts, which were either based on the existing parts or sometimes completely different, I think, if I remember. And a lot of the time it was, I was thinking, oh, thank goodness I get to do this, because I've always been wanting to hear this with more voices. Having written for voices and big groups before, I was just careful not to make it. I was careful not to make it. I don't want to say tricky, but to avoid things that don't sound good when done by 60 people. Leave the sort of one person lines for the one people, and leave the 60 person lines for the other people. Again, being too clever. I've gotten caught with that so many times, writing something super fancy for a big group, and it's like, it sounds fine in your little MIDI file, but
it loses the truth.
And so don't try to do that. Try to do something that, and it's not a question of limitation of a particular ensemble. It's a question of the nature of big ensembles. So I think once I sort of figured out what I wanted to do with each song, then it was just a question of elaborating the harmony. One of the challenges was writing out the forms of the songs, because some of the songs prior to that had no score. For instance, the Press Gang. I just wrote those 8 bars that my 3 guys played over and over, and they just looped it. And we said, okay, after the 4th verse you stop, and after this you come back in again, and you start, and you come in on the repeat. Like, it was nothing. There was nothing. So I had to. And Nelson's song, the Go to See No More. Well, he did it differently every time. So I sat there with our own album, writing down, okay, then a 2-bar thing, and then wait, oh,
what did we do?
Yeah, and so that was in some of the cases was the most time consuming thing. And then once that was set, then figuring out what I wanted everyone to play. But I want to sort of acknowledge there was one song that I proposed an arrangement to you that your guys sing with us, and you sort of said, well, we could do that, but let me propose something else to you instead. And I really appreciate that. The chord arrangement you did for Shallow Brown.
Brown, yeah.
Yeah, because you have the experience with your choir and with men's choir much more than I do. So you're sort of able to come back and say, like, actually, I think this would work much better, and it really did. It was beautiful. So I count myself lucky that I was able to learn something about it from you and from your arrangement in that context.
Well, and vice versa. I felt like as I dug into the music, I just completely became a part of the world that you were creating. And what I love about both, when I saw it on the page, and then especially when you hear it, it's just there's so many layers. There's a solo voice out in front. Then there's kind of like in many of the songs as a solo voice. Then there's like a layer of soloistic backup singers, and then there's the instruments, and then there's a choir. And what I love about especially when you take in the whole concert is that I feel like the camera can change its field of depth throughout the concert, and sometimes the choir becomes the big choir becomes the thing. Then it's the soloist, then it's the fiddle, then you want to hear this like smaller singing ensemble, and that variety with pretty much just using tenor, baritone, and bass voices and a few instruments. To me, it became a very rich usage of the folks that were there. And again, instead of having a big symphonic orchestra to flesh out these pieces, we're still using the human voice, which has that communicative power, still sounds like dudes out there. You can kind of imagine, like, then instead of like the 4 or 5 of you, it's like this horde of guys lifting sands instead. But it's I have to say I learned so much, and continue as I spend time with this music to learn about this. And I'm so glad that we're going to get to share this with everyone. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for just entering into this project with us last year. For having the foresight to say, hey, you know what we should do? We should record this, and it's just and the amazing arrangements that you've done, and just what you're doing for this art form, which I think is a very rich one and a very moving one as far as shanty singing and all that you're doing. So really, thank you for sharing your perspective and your music with us.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It was a pleasure to work with you, and thanks for inviting us in so welcomingly.
Oh, I just hope we get to do it again, and I hope I got some ideas. I want to play one last piece for everyone here, and this features Seán on the lead vocals. One of my favorites from the show. This is Hall on the Bowline, Seán Dagher and Lenev and Corleone.
All on the bowline, so early in the morning. All on the bowline, all on the bowline, our bullish ships are rolling. All on the bowline, all on the bowline, so early in the morning. All on the bowline, all. All on the bowline, Kitty is my darling. All on the bowline, all on the bowline, so early in the morning. All on the bowline, all. All on the bowline, Kitty lives in Liverpool. All on the bowline, all on the bowline, so early in the morning. All on the bowline, all. All on the bowline, the old man is a growling. All on the bowline, all on the bowline, so early in the morning. All on the bowline, all. All on the bowline, it's a couple weeks to payday. All on the bowline, all on the bowline, so early in the morning. All on the bowline, all on the bowline, so early in the morning. Won't you haul on the bowline, haul. All on the bowline, so early in the morning. All on the bowline, haul.
That was Hall on the Bowline, Seán Dagher singing lead on that one in his arrangements for Lenev and Corleone. And you can watch the entire show for free if you sign up on the links below. Maybe they're above. I don't understand YouTube, but they're there, and it's by RSVP, and you just need to click on that link, RSVP, and we'll send you the link to this beautiful show that we put together last year. I'm so proud of the performances that we captured here, and I think you will find it both beautiful and just a rollicking good time. I've had just so much fun being a part of this music, and we're happy to share it with you. And we do ask in the RSVPs if there's a chance for you to support Corleone, and if you take the time to do that, we would be ever so appreciative. I want to thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another guest, and we will see you next time.
They say it's all right. They say it's all right. Say it's all right. Have a good time, 'cause it's all right. Whoa, it's all right. Now we gonna move it slow. Up in the lights low.